Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm going to show you how I made this printed vinyl template tumbler. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description box below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. For this design, I am using this beautiful printed vinyl from Miss Trina at Diamonds and Dust Shop, and I cut it out using a template that she created, and I just resized it to fit the tumbler that I am using. So I am just using a 30-ounce straight skinny. The one that you'll see in this video is from Hog, and I just cut it to the width that matches that tumbler. So you just measure around the cup and then cut your template accordingly. I'm also applying transfer tape, and this is my favorite transfer tape. It's from Vinyl Fun. And then I'm going to draw a straight line on the edge. And I have found that this is an amazing hack to make sure that you're getting your vinyl lined up perfectly on your tumbler. Before we do that though, since we're going to be adding paint and glitter, I wanted to prep my tumbler. So this is just a 60 grit sanding block, and I am just roughing up the surface of this cup. This just allows my design elements to adhere better to the cup. So I'm just going to sand it, give it a nice kind of scuffing, and then I'm just going to spray it down with alcohol and wipe it down with a shop towel, which has less lint than a traditional paper towel. And then we're ready to move into the next steps of this cup. Shameless plug time, but with these templates, it's super important to get them on straight. So I'm using my ultimate decal guide from CamiPaige Boutique to draw that straight line on the tumbler. Then I'm going to put it in the cup cradle, and this allows me to really get this template on the cup straight. So we have the line that we drew on our transfer tape, and we're going to use it to line it up with the straight line that we drew on the tumbler. So you can see how easy it is to get that applied to the cup, because you know it's on straight, everything's cut beautifully. Then I'm going to remove a little bit of the backing, which you saw, and we're just going to gently use our squeegee to press on the printed vinyl to our tumbler. You can see how perfectly that just goes on the cup, and look at that, we have everything lined up, and it's an amazing day in cup paradise. Then we're just going to remove our transfer tape. Since I had to use two pieces, it was kind of a little wonky at first, but it just laid down, and I'm just pulling that transfer tape, and we are good to go. I did have a little bit of overlap because I measured to make sure that I didn't cut it short, if that makes sense. So I'm just cutting off a little bit of that excess just to make sure that I don't have like a kind of a bump with the printed vinyl. So I just cut it using my X-Acto knife, just like so. Just take it down, make a straight line, and then remove that excess vinyl. Now I'm showing you this so you don't do it. Don't go over the printed vinyl with the alcohol and the magic eraser to remove the permanent marker. Just take alcohol and just wipe off the stripe. Otherwise, you'll remove the ink from the printed vinyl and it's not cute. So I let that dry, and then it was time to start applying our paint for our stripes on the tumbler. Here I'm using Robin's Egg from Miss Lillian's No Wax Chalk Paint. You can snag these paints on CamiPaigeBoutique.com. And then I'm going to mix in Artistry's glitter glue. I love this mixture for applying glitter because it's just the perfect adhesive, and it really gets you great coverage. Now, if you're using a paint that doesn't coat as well, you might want to do just a single coat of paint and then come in with this mixture so that you get the coverage and the base color underneath your glitter that you're wanting. Here I am just using an eyeshadow brush from Wet n Wild. I picked these up at the dollar store, and I love these brushes because they give you nice even coverage. They're super cheap, and they work well. So highly recommend you get these, but I was feeling risky when I did this, so I decided not to tape off the bottom of my printed vinyl, but you can obviously do it. I know I do it a lot in my previous tutorials. I don't know if I was lazy or just kind of wanted to be on the wild side, but I decided just to take my time and give a nice coat of this paint and glue mixture, and just went around the bottom of the tumbler so that I knew I had a nice even coat, because the glitter that we're using is a little bit of an opal. So getting that nice base layer is super important so that you don't have kind of uneven color behind your glitter. after you get that butt nice and coated, I came in with Feathers from Diamonds and Dust, and I love this blue. I've used it on a couple of other projects and it never lets me down. So I'm just going to completely coat the butt of this tumbler, and you can see just how beautiful that blue is. Once I'm done with the bottom, it's time to do the stripes. So I'm just going to follow the same process like I did before, and I'm just going to take my time using that same paintbrush and just paint in the stripes between the printed vinyl pieces. So exact same mixture, exact same technique. So I'm just taking my time, making sure I get nice even coverage around the entire surface of this tumbler, and then we're going to come in with our glitter mix again. Once we are happy with that paint coverage, I'm going to grab Feathers again, and then I'm going to completely coat that stripe, and then we're going to repeat the process for the second stripe that is in between the two pieces of printed vinyl. After we have that second stripe completed, we are going to paint yet another section. I know you're probably so tired of seeing me paint on this cup, but I promise it will be worth it. So I'm just going to come in again and just take my time up against that printed vinyl line right there. But this time we're going to be using a different glitter for that top section. Now, I have been asked quite a bit lately, what are some of my must-have glitters? And we're going to use one right here. So the glitter we're going to be using is called Icicles, and it is from Diamonds and Dust Shop. And I have used this so many times recently because it is an amazing, mediumly chunky opal and kind of silver glitter mix. So the reason why I say mediumly chunky is because it's not a super chunky. It's kind of that middle of the road, and I just love it. And you're going to see it here in just a minute, but it really takes on the color of whatever base that you're working on because it has a lot of those opal cuts in it. It is such it metamorphosizes. Do you like that word? With the projects that you're using. So I highly recommend snagging this color because I'm really obsessed with it, and it's one that I've been using quite a bit lately. So once you're happy with the coverage, so you can see here, I'm getting really close to unveiling the glitter that we'll be using on this tumbler. Then you're just going to let it rip, tater chip, because also the glitter glue dries pretty quickly, so you don't have to worry about contamination of the glitter colors. But you can see just how beautiful this glitter is, and it looks a little more silver on here. I did have to take the cap off because I'm impatient, but it just is so beautiful. And I know it kind of looks light blue here, but that's the opal essence of this glitter, but I really think you need to go out and get it. So we're just coating this whole section, making sure that we've got nice, great, even coverage, and then we're gonna let this baby dry. Coat it twice with Rust-Oleum Clear Gloss Spray Paint, let that dry, and then it is time for epoxy. I did 2 coats of Artistry's 1-1 Fast Set just to make sure that I had nice even coverage over all of the glitter because it is kind of a chunkier mix. And then I let that dry, and it's time for pinstriping. Now on most of my cups, I typically always do 2 pinstripes. Like I'll do a fatter one or a thicker one, and then come in with a thinner either nail tape or vinyl on top of it to really add a bunch of detail. But with this cup, it didn't need it because we had so much going on and I didn't want to take away from the other design elements. I am just using kind of a fatter silver nail tape. I really like this nail tape. It works really well. I'll list it down in the description below. But I just followed the outline of the printed vinyl template that we had laid down. And then I'm just taking my time with the nail tape to make sure that everything is lined up. So I'm using the seam of the printed vinyl that you see there as my guide, but what I like to do with the nail tape is I hold it probably about 3 or 4 inches pretty tightly so it's straight, and then I just guide it along the stripes using my pointer finger on my other hand to really push down the nail tape and make sure that it is sticking in the right places. But you can see this is nothing to be scared of. It's a really easy process to do, but it adds such a nice design element to your tumblers and really finishes off your design. So I'm just going to continue to apply the nail tape to all of the stripes, and I'm not going to forget the bottom of the cup. I may or may not have done this in real life, but you'll never know. But I'm just going to take my time applying the nail tape, really trying to follow the printed vinyl, but also being cognizant of the stripe above to really make sure that I'm keeping my spacing even and that I'm keeping the waves and kind of how I'm following very similarly, because otherwise you will see it. It's your eye will catch it, or at least mine does. It might be my OCD, which I don't have. I'm just going to claim I do for this purpose, but I'm just going to really make sure that I'm trying to keep the spacing evenly across the entire stripes and just trying to follow the same kind of ebbs and flows of how I apply it. You can really see what I'm talking about here with the design, how the spacing, if it's off, you'll see it. And so you really want to make sure to pay attention to these little details. Once I was done with the nail tape, I applied Quick Seal from Artistry Epoxy, let that fully dry, and then I did go into a just super thin coat of epoxy before applying my vinyl. Now, that's optional. You don't have to do it, but it allows me to make mistakes in case I do it and not have to take the risk of pulling off all of my nail tape. So here is decal time. Now, this SVG is actually posted for free in the CamiPaige Corrupted Crafters Facebook group. So if you would like to find this and other decal freebies, you can go ahead and head on over. But I cut this out using a light blue TECKWRAP vinyl, which I was actually surprised how easy it was to weave. Now, I know they say that's like that, but it actually was true. And then I layered it on top of the textured silver vinyl from Cricut. It worked really well. But I also like to use my Cricut mat to line everything up because I was really having a problem with static electricity and like the vinyl's moving on me when I tried to line it up. So this was a great kind of hack that I used to get everything in place and lined up the way I like it. Once everything was layered, it was time to apply the decal. Now, at first, I wanted to put the decal on the seam, and then I was like, that's less than optimal because I feel like it was drawing attention to a less than perfect area. So I even started like laying this down, and I was like, no, changed my mind, and then I wanted to put it on the other side. I just liked it here because it showed more of like all of the design elements, and you had more glitter to look at, so I like this placement, but you can obviously put this anywhere you like it. Now, this step I should have done before I did the nail tape or the vinyl so that way I could really wash the cup well, but I wasn't thinking, but here we are. So I am going to just use my flap wheel. It is 120 grit, and I'm just going around that top layer of the tumbler just to expose that little bit of stainless steel. So my final coats of epoxy really have something to adhere to. So I'm just going to go through and expose a nice even amount of the stainless steel. Then I come in with my sanding block again, just to knock down that like hard ridge that is at the top. So that way, if you're drinking out of the cup without the lid or without a straw, it's not gonna like feel like it's gonna cut your lip off. So I really like knocking that down, and you can see just how nice of a finish it is. I rinsed off the tumbler, and then it was time to seal all the nail tape and the decal in. This is Quick Seal from Artistry Epoxy, and I'm just giving it a nice even coat over all of that detail work that we did. And what this does is it really prevents the vinyl and the nail tape from lifting when you go into your final coats of epoxy. Now, this might seem like a huge pain in the butt, and I know sometimes you want to skip this step if you're on kind of a time crunch, but I promise it's going to save you heartache. So I just apply this, let it dry for about a good 45 minutes to an hour, and then I come in with my final coats of epoxy. So here, I had some extra time, but I did a final coat of the Artistry 1-to-1 fast set, and then I did come in with the regular formula just because I just love that stuff. It's actually my favorite. I know I use the fast set a lot, but that's because I'm impatient. But I did 2 final coats, and then this baby was good to go. And here she is in all of her blue and winter glory. I hope this tutorial inspires you, and I can't wait to see what you create. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information, please feel free to reach out, and I'll be more than happy to help. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you are notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. I love you guys. Bye.